How to prune. Canopy management for mango trees. Mr. Kosi Adum is getting ready for a big change on his mango farm. Learning about the benefits of pruning convinced him to reshape his trees according to best practice.
I mean, there are people who has done it and it's working for them. And they told us a lot of benefits about it, that it will reduce the amount of chemical we use, which is going to reduce our budget. It's going to help us to produce quality. You know, now mangoes, if you get export, it's good for you. But then they told us that there will be no defect on the skin and the mangoes will look good. So we realized that it's going to benefit us a lot.
The challenge Mr. Adum is facing right now is that he doesn't know how to get started. What exactly should be cut off, where, when, and how to start. In this video, we will search for answers to all of these questions. To be sure he's doing the right thing, Mr. Adum requested for help from an expert. Mr. Daniel Komayere is a skilled agronomist with great knowledge in pruning. First, Mr. Komayere needs to have a look at size and structure of the trees on this farm. Ideally, pruning starts immediately after the trees are planted. This practice is called training pruning. Mr. Adum has not put his trees through this training, but they are still at a good age to be optimized through corrective pruning.
This is clearly an untrained tree. You see most of the lateral branches being very long. Then we also see a lot of branches growing vertically. These branches are also unproductive. They store a lot of nitrogen, and all that they do is to promote more vegetative growth. So if you look at a tree, and then you have to get a picture in your mind that if I take this branch off, what will be the response of the tree? So we look at all the vertical growing branches. So we take them at the middle of the tree off to create that space, that hole for air and sunshine to get into the canopy. Then after that, we are going to cut most of the lateral branches back to get the tree in a good shape. When we cut the lateral branches back, what we are trying to do is to produce a more productive canopy. You cut it back, you allow it to shoot. That will give you more fruits. They also grow at a very uniform age. Let's say your flowers will be synchronized. You get flowers at the same time.
Let us go through the major criteria to select which branches should be cut off. 1. Keep only productive parts on your tree. Cut off all wood which does not help the tree to produce fruits. This includes all vertically upward growing branches. Removing unnecessary wood helps you to get rid of nitrogen. When nitrogen is removed, a tree will produce more flowers instead of thick branches and leaves. 2. Create an open space in the center of the canopy. Air and sunlight help to protect your tree against diseases. 3. Reduce height. There are many different opinions about the ideal height of a tree. Important to understand, the larger your trees are, the more expensive it is to manage them. Disease control, flower induction, and harvesting turn out a lot more difficult. 4. Get your tree in a well-balanced shape. The growth of your tree should be well adjusted. Trees on your farm should use their space as productive as possible. This will also enable you to plant trees at a higher density. 5. Whilst you are already on the job, take off all diseased parts.
So now you look at the tree. We have been able to take out all the unproductive branches. Most common mistakes that farmers do with corrective pruning is always that they don't want to take away much, and that you don't really do the work. If you don't take out much, within the one season, the canopy is back to its irregular, uncontrolled shape. Another mistake farmers do is that they cut one side and leave the other side, so they end up getting unbalanced canopy. Then another one is that they cut so much that the tree takes very long time to rejuvenate itself. That one you may take up to 2 seasons without fruits. But with this type of cut and encouraging a lot of lateral shoots, we are sure that within the next season you should have fruits on this tree.
Pruning work is usually done by a group of your workers or a pruning gang. Take time to explain to these workers very well what to do. First of all, make sure they use the right tools. Cutlass are not appropriate. They will do more harm than good. If you want to know more about pruning tools, please watch our separate video on this topic. Secondly, tell them exactly where and how to cut. Supervise their work for the first few trees before you let them continue on their own. Mistakes in pruning can cause great damage on your farm. Here is another tree which needs corrective pruning. We give you few moments to make up your mind how you would cut it and how it should look like after pruning. This is how the pruning expert reshaped the tree. The height is reduced. Lateral branches are cut back. There is an open space in the center of the canopy, and the shape of the tree is well balanced. Here is how it looked before pruning, and this is after. After you finished pruning, it is very important to remove cut-off material from your farm. There are two major reasons behind this. 1. Decomposing tree parts attract pests and diseases onto your farm. 2. As mentioned earlier, one objective of pruning is to remove the nitrogen from your tree. If you leave cut-off wood lying underneath your tree, the ground takes the substance in and it returns into your tree. Your work was done in vain. The older a tree grows without ever being pruned, the more difficult it becomes to prune it into good shape. If you plan to prune, start the work as soon as possible. If not, your canopies will grow too big for corrective pruning. In this case, you'll need to cut off substantial parts of your trees and it will take them a long time to recover. In such cases, you would lose out on yield for several seasons. When you want to substantially reduce the height of a tree, you will also need to prune its roots. If you leave the root system untouched, your trees always want to return to their former size. With very old and big trees, the best advice is to cut them down completely. Instead of losing time for the old tree to recover, you can start afresh and put the new trees through proper pruning training. Dividing your farm into different plots allows you to rejuvenate step by step. You can start growing new trees on plot A, whilst plot B and C are still giving you fruits during the next seasons. Once plot A is ready to give you fruits, you move on planting young trees on plot B. You continue this practice until your farm is fully turned over according to best pruning knowledge. To show Mr. Adum what an ideally pruned tree looks like, he takes the farmer to his demonstration plot.
Yeah, so Mr. Adum, this is a tree that I will call an ideal tree at 4 years old.
This tree is 4 years?
Yes.
But it's small?
Yes, the canopy is small, a bit compact, but more productive tree. We don't allow the tree to grow by itself, but we dictate the way the tree should grow.
To get a tree into its best pruning shape, you have to train it from planting stage. Let's have a look at how this training is done. The first cut, also called heading, is done at 60 to 80 centimeters above the ground, which is just around hip level. Watch out for the ring of buds or node. You can identify it by swelling and at least 2 leaves growing at opposite ends of the stem. Place your cut immediately above the node closest to hip height. 4 to 6 new shoots will emerge from this cut. A few weeks later, you have to come back to the tree and select 3 or 4 of the shoots. There are 2 criteria for this selection. First, health and strength of new shoots. Second, the angle at which they are growing. If you look at it from a top view, you want them to grow at a perfect triangle or a square if you choose 4. Each of the remaining branches has already developed its own ring of buds. You place the second cut slightly above this point. Now, another 4 to 6 shoots will develop from each cut. Give them some time to develop before you come back to select which ones you want to keep on your tree. Again, you only want to keep 3 or 4 of them at each cut. Your major criteria for the selection are once again strength and growth angle, but now you also start to make sure none of the new shoots grows in a way which would close the center of your canopy. Remember, you want to keep the center open for air and sunlight. Now you place the third cut just the same way you have cut before. Then you repeat the procedure once again to finish the initial training. Now your tree has reached a good foundation. The trunk is low and the canopy is bushy with a lot of lateral growth. This tree is about 6 months old. It has reached the right size for the first cut.
So I will stand close to the tree to make sure I'm taping from hip height. Then I tape it just a bit above the knot here.
The pruning expert cuts the tree slightly above the node. The tree will respond to this cut by developing 4 to 6 uniformly growing shoots immediately below the cut. A few weeks later, you need to come back and select which ones of the new shoots you want to keep on your tree. Having this option is exactly what you want, because this gives you the opportunity to form the tree according to your will.
You have to decide whether you want to start the tree with 4 branching or you want to start it with 3 branches.
I'll go for 3 branches.
Then you have to take another decision as to which branch you have to take off. Bearing in mind that you are taking off the weak branch and also you are looking at the spacing of the 3 branches that will be left. We want to take off this weak branch and then we are left with 3 branches.
After selecting the branches which will remain on the tree, Mr. Kumayare continues with the second cut.
We are trying to encourage more branches and then to discourage long branches. We want to cut this branch from here so that it can also start giving us new shoots. Then we take it off. Above the knot, we take it off.
A few weeks later, another 4 to 6 shoots will emerge from each cut. You have to return and select the branches you want to keep.
In building up to the second cut that we did, this has been the response, that it gives us 5 shoots. Which branch do you think we should take off?
We should take off this one. I think as you've been teaching me all this while, you have to give me the thing you are using to cut it.
So you take off the branches you think we should take out from here. Okay.
Okay.
Which one again? Or if you think this is enough, then
yeah, this is enough.
Okay. So we allow it 4 shoots.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What about here? Here
we
it
have
responded
6
shoots. So,
but I can see 3 that are very healthy.
Yes. So you decide which ones you want to take off. Also considering the strength of the shoes and how they will be evenly spaced.
Okay. I'll take off this. Yes. So I'll be left with
4. Okay. Then now we move on to the third cut.
Okay.
The third cut means that we want these shoes not to grow long, but to start to shoot again.
Yeah.
So we are cutting to create more branches.
Okay.
So we have done the first cut, we have done the second cut, and we have done the third cut.
The foundation is laid for a tree with a short trunk and a productive canopy. After the tree is successfully trained, you need to do maintenance pruning to keep it in good shape. This is done every year immediately after harvest.
If I don't cut this shoot back, it is probably growing too long. This is already the first shoot, the second shoot. So I need to take this shoot back 1 step.
Okay.
So I cut it back 1 step. Then I cut this one back.
What the pruning expert is doing here is called tipping. It induces the growth of new shoots. These shoots will later all develop at the same time into flower-bearing branches. The next thing Mr. Kumayare is doing is to reopen the center of the canopy to allow sunlight and air in. Let's go through the major lessons learned in this video. Mr. Kumayara demonstrated 3 different types of pruning: corrective pruning, training pruning, and maintenance pruning. Corrective pruning is used to bring previously unpruned trees into an acceptable shape. You basically want to achieve 3 things. 1. Cut off all parts which are not serving fruit production. 2. Reduce height. 3. Create an open space at the center of the canopy. The older a tree gets, the more difficult it becomes to prune. At a certain stage, it makes more sense to cut down the whole tree and start afresh. Training pruning starts from planting stage. In the first year, you need to go back to your tree every few weeks to apply the first fundamental cut, which will determine the foundation of your tree. The first cut should be done at hip height. The following sets of shoots should always be cut slightly above the first node. Cutting above the node induces the tree to come out with more uniformly growing shoots at one particular point. When these shoots develop, you can select the best 3 or 4 to stay on your tree. Maintenance pruning should always be done immediately after harvest. By cutting back the tree, you encourage growth of new flower-bearing branches. These branches will not only produce more flowers, but will also develop them at the same point in time.
Now we can prune and even teach others to prune. It's going to help us in disease control, efficiency in spraying, managing canopy sizes, fruit development, and fruit growth. We're looking at a new future. I mean, we can't tell you now, because when we say it, maybe you go and think about it. But then we're formulating a lot of businesses in our minds where we're going to look for gangs that will train them, because our farm size is big. That will generate employment for the community, and then it will go on to produce quality fruit for the country and export.
If you want to know more about the benefits of pruning or which tools should be used for the work, we invite you to watch our additional mango pruning videos. Thank you very much for your attention, and good luck with your fruits.